kind of being away from the guys the way that I was, it was a little tough, you know what I mean? Because I'm used to seeing them every day, clowning with them every day, sitting in meetings, coming out to practice, grinding with them, and, you know, I couldn't do that. So, you know, get back in there with them and, you know, sitting up watching film and going through day-to-day plays, ways to get better, critiquing the little things in everyone's game, and not only being a player but being a coach, man, I love it. It's refreshing.
You feel good now?
Yes, sir.
You like to share what was the issue?
What, with me?
Yeah.
Just getting old.
Just
Getting old. Now I had a little knee thing, so we back together, you know, took some time off, got it together, and, you know, between working with our training staff and Coach Mick, you know, they're second to none, so I appreciate it.
You've got a lot of depth in nose guard this year. What's that like, though? You're three very different types. You and Tommy, for example.
Honestly, it's a show, just because since all three of us have different playing styles, you really don't know what you're going to get. All three of us bring a different type of tempo, you can say, a different type of swag to the game, you know what I mean, especially up front. And, you know, when I'm in, you know, I try to do the best that I can and put on a show, and then when I'm out, I just sit back and just cross my arms and watch, see what's going to happen.
For people who haven't, you know, don't know as much, describe your game, but the other game, Tommy obviously is known for strength.
Yeah, Tommy's like, what's the best way to describe him? I got nicknames for him and Davon. Davon is Thanos and Tommy is Shrek. That's how I look at him. Thanos and Shrek, that's how I look at him. But Davon is a nice little hybrid. He has his strength, he has his speed, he's quick, he's agile, he can move laterally, he can move vertical. Tommy's honestly the same way. It's just, I don't know, I really can't explain in detail how their game is. It's one thing, as you watch us and watch them play, watch me play, you can see the different styles of play and see how the production comes in and how the tempo of the game changes.
You guys like playing a little more up the field? I guess that's what we've heard. There's been a little less slanting, a little more playing downhill. Do you like that?
I personally like it, and I feel like a lot of guys in the room like it, just because it's one of those things where it puts more pressure on us to actually go and play. You know what I mean? It's not trying to trick you and, you know, move lateral to get vertical. It's more, okay, we're going to stay in base defense. And I know for me, coming from high school to college, I know my high school coach always said, if you can't beat a team in your base defense, then, you know, you're going to have an issue. So one of the emphasis this year is it forces you to have better technique. It forces you to use your toolbox and, you know, actually try to perfect your craft. So I feel like it allows us up front to play a little bit more freely and not have to think as much.
Hey, BB, you released a Twitter message the other day. Can you talk to us a little bit about why it was important to you to get that out, why you felt so struck in the heart that you wanted to share that?
Well, one, I'm for me personally, I'm one of those people that I suffer from mental health, and it's been an uphill battle for the majority of my life. And, you know, I really didn't start to understand the magnitude of just how it can affect a person until I got to OSU. You know, and I was one of those kind of, you could say, stereotypical men suffering from something that it's like, you know what, you can't be soft, you can't show emotion, so just, you be all right, we'll figure it out. You know what I mean? And I felt that what happened back home in my city in Dayton, and my brother was down there, my cousin was down there, I know it's going to be a lot of people who are going to mentally struggle, whether they lost somebody, whether they were injured, or it's one of those things where, you know, it could cause PTSD to anybody who was just down there but did not, you know, suffer any injury. Like, it's one of those things where it can affect somebody on many different levels. And I felt that it was a good moment for me to not only reach out to the people in my community, but people in other communities who have also suffered from similar issues over the past couple months, even, you know, this year alone. And I feel like it was a good time to kind of use my platform and, you know, to speak out about it and express how I felt, and then, you know, pay my condolences to those people.
When did you hear about it?
To have Ryan Day prioritize that, what does that mean to you as a player?
It means a lot, because it just shows me how much, you know, he cares. He could have just made it simple as, hey, you okay? Yeah. And went on about his day, but he's consistently asking me, hey, you okay? You need anything? You know, you want to talk about it? You want to talk to anybody? Like, he's concerned. And that's one thing with Coach Day, is he is a player's coach. Like, he cares about our well-being. He cares about our day-to-day mental state as well as our physical state. So I appreciate him. If you're watching this, Coach Day, I love you. Thank you.
You mean after Sunday, or is that just something he does all the time?
Oh, it's been a consistent conversation.
When did you learn about what happened?
the very next day. So like that night, I was dead because I knew we had football the next day, and I woke up and I had a bunch of missed calls and text messages because typically sometimes I'll sleep with my phone on silent if it's been like one of those long days and I need to sleep through the night, and I'll sleep with my phone on silent, and it was one of those nights, and I woke up and text messages, phone calls, Twitter feeds, Facebook, every bit of social media, and I was just like, whoa, what's going on? And I remember before I even laid down, my brother telling me like, hey, like, I might be going out tonight, having, grabbing something to eat, kind of hanging out with the fellas. I'm like, all right, okay, that's cool. And I always tell him, let me know when you get home.
Right.
Even though I'm gonna be, even though I'll be asleep, but still just shoot me a text, let me know when you get home. And I woke up today, he was the first person I called, and talked a little bit, and it was just, it was surreal because it's like one of those things where, for me, like you see it on TV, you hear about it, things like that. You might see it sometimes in like some documentary movies. I'm a big documentary person, but when it's in your face and it's like, oh, this can hit home, it's a little different.
Do you think there's a negative stigma to counseling? I don't know, you talked about, don't show emotion, don't show anything like that. Where do you stand on like getting counseling for things, and is it a positive, negative?
I can say I've been on both ends of the spectrum. In the beginning, for me personally, It was a negative. I wasn't the type of person that I don't want to go and talk to nobody about my issues, because my mindset was always, I could talk to them, but what is it going to change? At the end of the day, once I leave that office, I still got to deal with whatever's going on. You know what I mean? And it took me understanding exactly what I was going through and me maturing and growing up and me figuring out myself to realize, this could actually help you. You know what I mean? It does not always have to be a negative. So it honestly depends on a person's perspective. For me, I'm open to maybe talking with maybe a Coach Jay or a Coach Day or maybe somebody on the training staff. I'm not the type of person where I want to go to counseling, but if it was anybody else, I would recommend it to somebody else. You know what I mean? I know what helps me, and my situation and how I deal with it is going to be different from somebody else. You know what I mean? Somebody else might be good with talking to somebody. Somebody else might be better with watching movies or taking pictures. It just all depends on what helps you deal with what you're going through.
So it's not a sign of weakness.
No, it's not at all. And I can say at one point in time, I was one of those guys. I was stereotypical. I felt like it was, and I felt like showing weakness was something that I just could not do. And it took, like I said, me growing up and maturing and getting out of my ignorant state of understanding exactly what mental health is and how much of an issue that it is for me to realize that it's not about me being weak. I need help. I'm struggling, you know what I mean? So that's how I look at it.
You didn't know
Couple more
anybody
questions.
who was downtown?
No, sorry. Well, not that I was affected, but I had a couple, my brother, and then I had a couple cousins down there just kind of hanging out. So
Trey was down there that night?
Yeah. We actually he took a little break for a couple days. Kind of go out, get away. So he's good though. I'm checking on his mental on a day-to-day basis. We're still talking crazy, so I know he's fine.
Was there a time in your life where you realized that mental health was something that you were struggling with and that you needed to get help for it? And what kind of helped you kind of come to that realization and get through it?
I'd say I knew I was going through some mental issues about 8th grade, freshman year. But it was one of those things, it was just like, I got so many things that I have to take care of. You know what I mean? It's like, I was a boy who had to be a man, but I didn't really know what being a man was. So there was a lot of trial and error, and my thing was like, you know what? One thing I cannot do is be soft. I gotta be a leader, I gotta be a role model, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. And it was one of those things where I try to keep myself busy not to think about it. You know what I mean? And like I said, it took me all the way until getting to college for me to really understand what it was that I was dealing with. You know what I mean? Because when I was younger, I knew about it, but at the same time, you kind of just try to ignore it because at the time, like I said, me having a young, ignorant mind, it was more of a sign of weakness, not so much as a sign of something that I'm actually going through. You know what I mean? So I think that might have been the biggest thing. It probably started about 8th, 9th grade. And then once I got here, I kind of got more of a hang on it and started to understand exactly what it was.
Like anxiety,
Last
depression, or
a little bit of everything, like some anxiety, some depression, and it's different ways that, it can really hit you. It's days where I feel like I was on autopilot, straight zombie mode. I'm just getting up, just going through the motions.
being overwhelmed?
Yeah.
I know that you